My name is Payton and I'm the admissions demonstrator here at the Culinary Institute. I first began my education at CIA in January of 2017 for my associates in baking and pastry arts, where in that time I did my externship at the Four Seasons in West Palm Beach, Florida. After completing my associate's degree, I decided to come back for my bachelor's in business management, where I spent my final semester in Puglia, Italy for the Italian cuisine concentration. So I'm so excited to get to talk to you today about all that CIA has to offer, and especially with our demonstration, because it really is going to showcase the CIA student mentality and not just how to do something, but why we're doing it as well. And the demo that we're doing today is literally taking social media by storm, and that is these hot chocolate bombs. And it's really nice because there's only two main components that really do make this such a really cool and influential thing or product. So really it's just two components, which is one, our dry hot cocoa mix, but most importantly, it's having perfectly tempered chocolate. And when it comes to tempering chocolate, you're learning about food at a molecular level. So there's some things that you want to think of. When you're tempering chocolate, you literally want to break down chocolate and get all of the sugar crystals to become loose and then reanimate them by getting them agitated and having the crystals tighten up. Because when that happens, we're going to have a shine, and then we're also going to have a better structure. There's not going to be a dullness to them, and it's going to have that snap whenever you break a chocolate bar. So I have some examples of the different stages of chocolate in the tempering process. If you'll just look over here. So for starters, we have our untempered chocolate. Those are those sugar crystals that are very loose and broken up, and that's what's called blooming. So you can see as these crystals have it, we have this dullness in color. It's not going to snap. I'm going to break a piece of it, and it didn't make a sound. So that happens whenever you have untempered chocolate. As you can see, we've got a little bit of streaks here, so we're not quite there perfectly when it comes to our tempered chocolate, and we're getting closer and closer. And these are both the most examples of our tempered chocolate. Now, the crazy thing is, all of these came from the same exact bag of chocolate. It's just the process that we're going through, making sure that we're getting it to also the right temperature, which for dark chocolate is going to be 88 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're agitating it, you're making sure that you're putting in all of that effort that really does make a world of difference with your chocolate. And the method that I used for tempering my chocolate is called the seeding method. And that's where I just take some already tempered chocolate seeds, and then I'm slowly adding them into melted chocolate. And I'm agitating them, and I'm getting them to the right temperature. So I'm doing all these little things that does make our chocolate perfectly ready for tempering. So you'll notice that with our chocolate, the viscosity is really thick, but I don't want to melt it all the way and then restart my tempering process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick 1, 2, 3, which is where I turn my burner on. I know this looks very dangerous, but I promise it's not. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 while stirring and then taking it off the heat. This way I'm keeping it in that temperature range, but I'm also loosening up those crystals, and the chocolate is not going to be quite as thick. And that's going to make it a lot easier when it comes to putting it onto our mold. I'm going to go one more time because it still is a little bit thick. And part of that is because I did get my chocolate from your local grocery store, for example, Stop and Shop. And at the end of the day, your quality of chocolate does make the world of a difference. And we learn that, especially whenever we go to our chocolates and confections class, because we do chocolate tasting, we learn about where chocolates come from. There's even one thing that's called bean to bar, which is where you learn about the terroir of chocolate and where these beans are and the effect it has on their taste. So I'm gonna have this loosen up just a little bit more by stirring, getting that temperature. You wanna make sure you're constantly scraping the bowl because you wanna have a clean bowl because chocolate can get very messy very fast. Alrighty, so I've got the temperature down. Now I am going to take my chocolate mold. I've got some that I've already dried. And I am just going to take a spoon with some of my chocolate. I'm going to make sure I get all of that excess. Because like I said, I do not like a mess, and neither does your chef instructor. So you want to make sure that you keep your station as clean as possible and clean as you go. Alrighty. And then I'm just going to take a spoon, dollop, and then spread all around the edges of our spear mold. You can find these at your local Michael's or home goods or anything like that. And you can use different shapes if you want to. But you can make these festive, you can make them for any type of holiday you want. You just want to make sure you have enough chocolate on the ridges, so that way it goes all the way to the top and you're going to have a perfectly shaped sphere. I'm going to do it one more time. Perfect. And the reason that I'm tapping my spoon is because I want to get all of that air out. I don't want to have any air bubbles. Alrighty. There is another type of mold which is made with plexi, and that will help give you a little bit of a better shine, but also those are a little bit more expensive, and they're pretty hard to come by. You usually have to get those special ordered online or from a culinary equipment store. So I really enjoy just using these because we get to find what we have. Alrighty. So now I'm going to put my chocolate to the side, and I'm actually going to put this mold into the fridge for a moment so these can dry very quickly. And when I pull them out, there's not a chance of them breaking out of the mold. So put these in the fridge really quickly. And then while that goes, we are actually going to be working on that second component that I talked about, which is our dry hot cocoa mix. Now for starters, I just have about 2 cups of cocoa powder, which really does help because of the bitterness of flavor as well, so it's not too overpowering with the sweetness. And then I also have some cinnamon. I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of cinnamon at a time as I go. A little bit of nutmeg. And I'm going to add less of the nutmeg because it is a very powerful spice. But lastly, we're going to add some of our chili powder. And that's because we are doing a Mexican hot chocolate flavor for our hot cocoa bombs. And that's really just going to elevate this, just because with 1 or 2 changes to our spices, it's going to make the world of a difference and really enhance our product. But if you don't like spice, or if you want to change it up in any way, you can certainly do that by adding in the spices and experimenting a little bit. So I'm going to add this in. And the way that I'm going to know that it's perfectly blended is because I'm actually going to be using my sense of smell. And because I've made this before and I know what Mexican hot chocolate smells like, that's how I'm going to know if I need to add more spices or not. Because if you try this while it's a dry ingredient, it's just going to get in your mouth and get stuck there like the cinnamon challenge. So you really just want to make sure you're using your sense of smell, because as chefs, that's really what we need to do constantly. We need to look at our ingredients. For example, with our tempering our chocolate, you need to use your temperature whenever it comes to your hands. For example, with our chocolate tempering, we always want to have what's called the whisper of warmth, which is 88 to 90 degrees. And I didn't know what that was until about 3 weeks into the class. And I had just done it so many times that became second nature. So like I said, you always want to use your senses. Alrighty, so I'm whisking to make sure it's fully incorporated, because I don't want to have any clumps of cocoa powder. Now while that's going, I am actually going to turn on my heavy cream, because I want to get this fairly hot, because I want to make sure that it does melt my hot chocolate bomb. Otherwise it would be very anticlimactic and I would feel very bad for this demo. So I'm going to make sure I have that going. And then I'm going to turn on my pan just for a moment. Again, I know this looks dangerous, but I promise we're professionals here. I just want to get it barely warm. We are good. So now I'm going to take my molds out of the fridge. It only takes a minute or 2 for these to dry before we can start adding or taking them out of the mold. And before we get started, I'm actually going to put on gloves, because when chocolate has dried, it becomes very easy to have fingerprints on your chocolate deco. So you always want to make sure that you use your gloves. You also want your station to be completely dry, because water is the death of chocolate. So we want to make sure that we don't have our chocolate crystallize. And go. So got my gloves on. Sadly, I was cursed with warm hands, so sometimes if I'm working with very delicate chocolate pieces, I'll actually have a pound of cold butter on the side, and I'll hold my hands to it for like 30 seconds, and then I'll start working with the deco, and I'll just keep switching over so that way I can keep my hands warm. So I can see my heavy cream is going. I want to keep an eye on it so it doesn't overboil. But now I'm just going to take out my molds. Perfect. And you want to do a little bit of pressure, but not too much. We're looking for that shine. I'm keeping an eye on my heavy cream because I know it will boil over on me, because that's one of the things. It's not like boiling water, I promise. It will go very quickly with your heavy cream. Oh, what am I doing? I need this here. So now I'm going to take my pan with a little bit more heat for a moment. And this is how to get that excess chocolate off very easily. Is I am just going to take my chocolate deco piece. I'm going to rub it against the pan just for a moment and have it act almost as glue for when it connects it to make the entire sphere. You don't want to go too quickly, otherwise it's going to cause one half of the sphere to be almost shorter than the other. So we just want it barely enough. Perfect. And chefs do this all the time when they're working with chocolate deco. They want to make sure that they have really even cuts, so they'll use heat to manipulate it. Going one more time. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my heavy cream over so that I can keep a better eye on it. And then while that is going, what we're going to do is we're going to take a tablespoon with our dry cocoa mix. It doesn't have to be a full tablespoon, just enough to cover or fill half the sphere. Because there is a lot of flavor in this, so you don't have to worry about it being a dull hot chocolate. And then I'm going to take one sphere, press down on both sides. My heavy cream is just there. And then I'm going to roll along my parchment paper. I do this so that way it's really pushing in that glue-like chocolate and has it stay together. One more time. And you just want to make sure that there's no holes in your chocolate sphere. Perfect. Now I'm going to clean off my station. And now I'm just going to take my ladle with my nice little pitcher that I have for our heavy cream. So that way we can get the full effect. It's really nice too because this is actually a very common tableside dessert concept where you make a sphere and you could even have a mousse or different types of components in it. And you can do tableside where you have almost a heated creme anglaise or heavy cream and use that to melt the chocolate. So even though this is a new trend on TikTok or social media, it's not something that's been new to our industry. So the trick for this is you want to take half of your cream and have it already poured into the mug. And then I'm going to drop in my hot chocolate bomb. I'm going to pour in the remainder of my heavy cream over it. So that way it can sit in this hot chocolate or this heavy cream at a high temperature. I'm going to get a little bit more heavy cream for my pot. I'm going to pour over just a little bit more, not too much. Then I'm going to take a spoon. It's melting. It's nice because sometimes all of your hot chocolate bomb doesn't completely melt, so it's almost like you have little mini chocolate chips in your hot cocoa as well. I'm gonna pour a little bit more cream to it. Now I'm just making sure that it's fully combined because you don't want to have any dry pieces of your hot cocoa mix. So if you don't really care as much for the table side effect, you can most certainly make these and put them in the pot and whisk it, and that will help it stay fully combined. So especially if you're doing it for large parties. Alrighty. So I've got it fully combined, and what better way to top off some hot chocolate than with some homemade whipped cream. Perfect. And for the holiday edition, we are going to be using some sprinkles. If you'd like to, you can put marshmallows inside your chocolate sphere if it's a little bit larger than the one I have, or even the sprinkles inside. So it's just kind of a little bit more of a wow effect. And there you have it. A social media trend for the holiday season.